Blue Origin is betting 75% on a successful landing, a bold move after losing its first New Glenn booster at sea. The upgraded NG-2, nicknamed Never Tell Me the Odds, carries new engines, refined software, and a high-stakes mission to prove reusability once and for all. But with whispers of risky fixes and pressure from NASA's Mars launch, can Blue Origin finally deliver? Let's dive right in. Blue Origin's decision to roll out New Glenn NG-2 wasn't just a technical milestone, it was a declaration. After the first booster was lost to the Atlantic, many expected the company to slow down, regroup, and play it safe. Instead, Jeff Bezos' team came back swinging, naming their new booster, Never Tell Me the Odds. That name alone speaks volumes. Bold, confident, maybe even a little defiant. But behind the confidence lies a quiet tension. Because this isn't just another test. It's a 75% bet on a landing success that could redefine Blue Origin's credibility or destroy it again. Back in January 2025, New Glenn made its long-awaited debut. It was a historical moment. Blue Origin finally reached orbit after years of delays. The payload, the Blue Ring prototype, a modular orbital platform, performed flawlessly. But celebration didn't last long. Just minutes after stage separation, the booster's re-entry burn went wrong. Telemetry later revealed a guidance desynchronization, a small software timing error that caused a massive loss of control. The booster spun out, failed to stabilize, and was lost to the ocean. That single glitch cost the company over $100 million and months of credibility. Yet instead of hiding it, Blue Origin engineers spent months dissecting every line of data. They discovered the root causes: thrust vector delays, sensor drift, and flight control lag. Now all those lessons have been written, quite literally, into NG-2's core. This new booster isn't just a rebuild, it's a redemption mission. While from the outside NG-2 looks almost identical, its internal systems tell a different story. Engineers have rebuilt the propellant feed lines for smoother fuel delivery, preventing the thrust instability that doomed NG-1. They've also added dual flight computers and redundant IMUs, a first for New Glenn, ensuring the rocket can remain stable even if one system fails. The grid fins now use titanium instead of carbon composites, allowing them to survive the 1,600 degrees Celsius plasma heat during re-entry. Even the landing legs have been reinforced with offshore-grade hydraulic dampers, capable of absorbing shock forces 30% higher than before. And perhaps the most symbolic upgrade? Blue Origin will attempt a live-stream landing for the first time. Multiple onboard cameras are expected to capture the descent, a visual statement meant to rival SpaceX's iconic Falcon 9 drone ship recoveries. Bezos isn't just trying to land a booster. He's trying to land a story, a moment that says, we've arrived. But this flight carries more than corporate pride. It carries NASA's Escapade mission, two identical orbiters built by Rocket Lab to study the Martian plasma environment. Their mission, to understand how solar winds strip Mars of its atmosphere, shaping its barren landscape. For NASA, the stakes are serious. This $79 million mission represents a test of trust. If Blue Origin can deliver safely, NASA gains a second reliable heavy-lift partner beyond SpaceX. But if NG-2 fails, it could reinforce doubts about Blue Origin's readiness for government missions. Timing only adds more pressure. The launch window to Mars opens every 26 months. Miss it, and the next chance doesn't come until 2027. That's why Blue Origin engineers are working around the clock at Launch Complex 36, aligning every mechanical and orbital variable with almost surgical precision. One missed sensor reading, and years of planning go up in smoke. Blue Origin's engineers aren't guessing this time. They've taken cues from SpaceX's early Falcon 9 failures, but with a characteristically different approach: slower, more methodical, less explosive. After NG-1's crash, the team ran over 400 simulated flight sequences to test their updated guidance system. They even reconstructed booster failure dynamics in a high-pressure wind tunnel to replicate oceanic turbulence. Internally, this phase was nicknamed Project Phoenix, the rebirth of a fallen rocket. Every sensor, every thrust valve, every millisecond of flight timing was cross-checked by AI-assisted diagnostics. And the data is clear. The new NG-2 has 40% better thrust stability, 25% higher tolerance for roll deviation, and software synchronization reduced from 42 milliseconds to 11. Numbers that could make all the difference in re-entry control. So why does Blue Origin publicly say there's a 75% chance of success? Because in aerospace, that's actually high. Behind that figure lies thousands of Monte Carlo flight simulations, each calculating how the booster might behave under wind shear, fuel variance, and wave height conditions. Statistically, NG-2 should land, if weather cooperates. But that remaining 25% is what keeps engineers awake at night, because a single valve hiccup or GPS drift could turn a precision landing into a multi-million-dollar dive. This time, the booster will attempt to land on Jacqueline, Blue Origin's drone ship positioned several hundred miles downrange. Unlike SpaceX's steel-deck barges, Jacqueline uses an autonomous dynamic positioning system capable of holding position within 1 meter, even under 6-foot waves. The ship has been upgraded too. New radar tracking, enhanced shock absorption, and a reinforced heat shield. This isn't just about saving a rocket. It's about proving a business model. There's a quiet rivalry brewing on Florida's Space Coast. While SpaceX dominates LC-39A, Blue Origin has transformed LC-36 into a futuristic, almost cinematic launch site. Ironically, many of the engineers guiding NG-2's recovery systems once worked for SpaceX. One insider put it bluntly, "We're replaying SpaceX's early years, but this time with better tools and fewer explosions." That confidence is new for Blue Origin, but it comes with immense scrutiny. Investors are watching, NASA is watching, and so are millions of fans who've long labeled Blue Origin as all talk, no launch. If NG-2 lands, that narrative changes overnight. The name "Never Tell Me the Odds" isn't a random pop culture reference. It's a reflection of mindset. During internal meetings, engineers say the phrase became a rallying cry during long nights of testing. It symbolized defiance against the impossible, a way to turn frustration into focus. Jeff Bezos himself reportedly said, "The first flight gave us data. The second will give us confidence." And that's the emotional core of this launch. It's not about perfection, it's about proof. Proof that Blue Origin can adapt. Proof that it can compete. Proof that it deserves a seat at the table beside SpaceX. Success on NG-2 could trigger a chain reaction for the company. A recovered booster means rapid reuse, potentially flying again within 90 days, carrying either a commercial satellite or even the first Mark I lunar lander prototype. Blue Origin's long-term plan is to cut launch costs below $100 million per flight, making it competitive in the global satellite market. They're also expanding infrastructure, a second launch pad at LC-36, and additional landing ships under construction. Analysts estimate that if NG-2 lands successfully, Blue Origin could secure billions in new contracts by 2027, including national security payloads and lunar missions under NASA's Artemis framework. But those future dreams all hinge on a few minutes of fire, gravity, and precision over the Atlantic. Right now, all preparations are converging at Cape Canaveral. The next milestone, the static fire test, a controlled ignition of all 7 BE-4 engines while the rocket remains locked to the pad. This test will confirm ignition sequences, chamber pressures, and thrust vectoring reliability. If everything passes, the rocket will be integrated with the Escapade payload, encapsulated, and rolled back to the pad for launch around November 9 to 11, 2025. Weather permitting, NG-2 could make history, both for Blue Origin and for private spaceflight as a whole. But there's still that haunting uncertainty. Space doesn't forgive small mistakes. It doesn't care about optimism or branding, only precision. As launch day approaches, engineers at LC-36 are restless but hopeful. Every check, every valve, every countdown rehearsal carries the weight of Blue Origin's reputation. They know what's at stake: NASA's confidence, investor patience, and the company's public image. But beyond all that, there's something deeper: the desire to prove they can stand on their own propulsion, not just in SpaceX's shadow. When the engines ignite and New Glenn rises again, it won't just be lifting a Mars mission. It'll be lifting the credibility of everyone who believed that Blue Origin's story wasn't over after NG-1's fall. And this time, as the Atlantic waits quietly for whatever comes next, success or smoke, one thing's certain, the world will be watching. And that's what Blue Origin's 75% landing bet truly means. Not just another test flight, but a defining moment for the company's future. If NG-2 lands successfully, it will prove that Blue Origin can finally stand shoulder to shoulder with SpaceX and open a new era of reusable rockets, faster, smarter, and more competitive than ever. This launch isn't just about one booster. It's about reshaping how we explore space, reduce costs, and bring humanity closer to Mars. The results of this mission could change everything we know about private spaceflight. So, what do you think? Will Blue Origin finally stick the landing, or will the ocean claim another billion-dollar rocket? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your predictions. If you found this breakdown valuable, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Space Hub, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the biggest moves shaping the future of space. This is Space Hub, where space gets real.